sensual curves, precision engineering, grease cups, and a mystery power plant. G'day everybody, welcome back. While the rodeo is getting rego in a couple of months, weeks, we're off on to get the next project. Picked up some treasure from way out here in the middle of nowhere. So we'll go later on, take it home and take a look. First brief look, naturally when you're loading stuff at someone else's place, you generally don't video it, and it was good because we had to lift this down onto the ute off a loading ramp. So this is a Lightburn 3.5 cubic foot cement mixer, and I already have one of these, but I have an electric one, and this one is petrol powered. Sorry about the wind. In here there's a Peterson and Tippett 2 horsepower, which I'll show you later because right now it's a bit challenging to get into. Yes, tyres are required, we know that's how they work. But I also got, for a reasonable price, a Lister Type A down there. And I will, when we get home, I will show everyone closer. The beauty about the cement mixer is it came with the loading chute and all the paraphernalia. Will I use it? I don't know. How am I going to get it off the ute? Don't know. Is it beautiful? Yes. And is this thing complete? Yes. This is 100%. I have the top cover and I have the crank handle. So this is a 100%, as far as I can tell, complete Lister Type A, which cost me not very much, and I'm a little excited about it. So anyway, big drive home. Roddy's feeling the weight. And we'll get there when we get there. So here's my other Lightburn 3.5 cubes. You have to take my word for it. That's the tag down there. It's exactly the same as the other one. Good bowl on this, but it does have an electric cable, which hopefully the dog hasn't chewed on. Can't easily get in there, but this you can see on the side, Lightburn, and you'll see the similarities. Great bit of gear, very hard to move. It's got casters on it, so this one came off a factory floor where it was used to make something, but it is still the pride of the fleet. So this is Cecil B, the mixer, but we'll go and have a look at the other one. So I got it home all right, and we'll take a look at what we've got. So this is the loading chute. It goes up on the right hand side, and you used to be able to shovel the stuff in and use the handle and tip it in. Don't know if I'm going to use that. It does have some cosmetic issues, but it is quite a good idea. The mechanism's all here. I do have all the other bits and pieces and bobs and sods. The bowl itself, you know, could do with a clean, and it'll get one. Plenty of sponge and shit in the bottom. I don't really want to tip it out on the car. We'll come back to that one. I also got this tank. So this is a fuel tank, not a water tank, and it was made by this mob. And it still has disgusting stuff in it. But what that does mean is that it holds liquid, which is very positive. Nothing moves and nothing works, but we'll probably take that apart in one episode by itself and see if we can work out. My initial thought is I could use it for a water tank for this one, and just use natural water movement to keep everything cool. Although I may also be able to find a little pump, centrifugal pump, to run off of this, and I don't know, see what happens. Anyway, we need to talk about the big yellow elephant in the room. So Lightburn, 3.5 cubic feet, serial number 9691, which means that there's about 9,689 more for me to collect. That was made in Australia. Shell X100 you can't get anymore, but there's plenty of stuff on the internet about what you put in it. This one has a Ronaldson Tippett engine in it, 2 horsepower, does 22 to 24 RPM, has a tow hitch with some sexy chains, and I intend to utilise the tow thing with the tractor at the block. Has wheels which are a 5.6 by I've been eaten by the ants and I look really poor, so I'm going to have to find some new tyres obviously. The other thing I may be able to do is actually change the hubs over, because I've got plenty of other wheels but not with this stud pattern. So when we get to that point of taking this apart, we'll be able to take the hub off and see what they look like. Mud guards, solid. Box, solid. What else have we got? We're going to have to climb up there using a variety of steps. Great big huge grease cup. Grease comes from here, through here, up here and into this bowl. Obviously it needs some grease. Grease cup on the one end, grease cup on the other end, grease cup on the pivot point, and no, just one grease cup. I'm probably going to take this apart on the car so I can get it off the car and then clean it up and put it back together. It needs a good clean. So we'll go around the other side, look in the bowl from the other side. So there's plenty of big heavy things to squash my toes. There's a pin, steel, great big huge bolt. Oh, D-shackle, we'll keep that. That'll be useful. And there's probably some other treasure in there. Put that down there for now. So these guys were probably ahead of their time. This thing has multiple locking mechanisms to stop it doing all sorts of crazy stuff. We'll just sit that there for a second. And again, I'm not going to tip this out, I just want to tip it over. I want to tip it over, but I can't. You have to get back up there again. Okay, we'll let that sit there for a couple of days, and I'm going to have to get this. There's a cap here that'll let me get to the locking bearing or the locking pin. Or not entirely sure what's under there, but I know that has to come off. So it'll clean up all right. It's got a few dents and dings like the rest of us. I might even, no, I won't tip it off. I won't tip it over. It's just tempting fate because of where that sits. And the big question is, what powers it? So this is a Ronaldson Tippett, 2 horsepower, petrol, Caro, not sure yet. Petrol, 1 cap, yeah, 1 cap petrol. Flywheel type engine, and it does spin. I'm not spinning it a lot, but it does spin. Has a lever, which probably could do with some replacing. And then when it starts, obviously that falls in. So we know it goes this way. Actually might have a bit of compression, which is terrifying. The governor is, or appears to be, stuck. That's all right, it's fine. And it has a water hopper, or a water, let's call it a water hopper. There is a magneto down there, fuel tank, and yeah, it's got a big yellow flywheel. There you go. So that's what's powering it. I don't like the exhaust pipe being inside the cabinet, and I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to leave the cabinet on or put a bigger exhaust pipe on yet. Don't even know if it's going to run yet. So there you go. That's today's little road trip for treasure. Pretty excited. What do we know about the cement mixer? It was owned by a guy who unfortunately passed away. His son sold it to me for 200 pesos, and it was always on the farm. It always, you just have to fiddle with a carby and it worked. So pretty confident these engines have a good reputation. You can still get gaskets and bearings and parts and all made in Australia. So hopefully it's not too much to get it going. Obviously the big issue's potentially the magneto, and what do we find when we open it up? It has sat, thankfully, inside the cabinet for however long, but there is a hole in the top to fill the water hopper, which means when it rains, you know, you get where I'm going. So we're going to take it out, clean it up, have a look and see what we can do. Am I starting it today? Hell no, it's too hot for me to start that. And that brings us to the other thing we bought today. So the other day when I was finished looking at this and I was in the side-by-side driving away, I saw this exhaust pipe and this flywheel sticking up through the grass. Now this farm I bought this from has been sold and everything's being scrapped, and this was potentially going for scrap, which would be quite sad. This is a Lister A30T, 3.5 horsepower. I'm pretty sure the T stands for tank based on what I've found, but I'm still doing some research. There's a tag here that says some stuff about something, and I'm not sure what. We'll discover that later. I'll do a separate, when I start working on this, it'll be separate. The first job is to get this apart on the car so I can get it off the car, so I can get my car back. And we'll be doing that after work this week. But the Lister does move. Not moving it a lot. The valves, at least one of the valves goes up and down still. Everything's here. There's even the little chain. I do have the crank handle and I do have the lid for the hopper. I'm hoping that that's a bolt, but I've got to do some looky research and clean it up. There's a lot to do on this. This won't be tomorrow or next week. It needs a good soak in some stuff and some other stuff, and it should be good to go. But it's 100% as far as I can tell. Everything's here. Yeah, super excited, believe it or not, about getting a crack at this one. And that's where we'll pull it up for today. So this week, hopefully we'll get a couple of videos, or at least one of me pulling that apart, getting it into lots of pieces and putting it in the backyard. I'm hoping to get the bowl off, the mechanism off, the cabinet off, and leave the motor on the frame, wheel it off the back of the trailer, and then have this off so I can work on the motor off the ground. I do have to watch the dog doesn't eat the magneto cable. So yeah, anyway, there you go. Thanks for watching. Coming on a road trip with us. More treasure, but less problematic than the Rodeo, hopefully. And yes, this is going to work. I'm going to put this back to work at the farm and make a lot of concrete, which is exciting because there's a tiny home build coming. See you next time. Oh yeah, looks like new. What does that say? I don't know. It's going to give some stuff up. Oh, frosty weather should be banned and never be allowed. Okay, see you next time.